The world's tense anticipation for a Russian response to Senator Lindsey Graham's provocative warning was answered with overwhelming and terrifying force. In the hours before dawn, Russia unleashed the single largest and most sophisticated aerial assault of the entire conflict, a massive retaliatory strike that Ukrainian officials report involved a barrage of approximately 450 drones and missiles. The attack was not concentrated on a single city, but was a sweeping, countrywide operation designed to cripple Ukraine's ability to function and wage war. The sheer scale and complexity of the assault overwhelmed Ukraine's air defense, leaving a trail of destruction and chaos from Kyiv in the north to Odessa in the south, and from Kharkiv in the east to cities in the far west that had long been considered safe havens. The night sky over Ukraine transformed into a horrific spectacle of light and sound as air raid sirens wailed incessantly for hours, punctuated by the thunderous roar of explosions and the desperate fiery streaks of Ukrainian interceptors, missiles rising to meet an unstoppable tide. Intelligence assessments from Western agencies, later confirmed by a grim statement from the Pentagon, indicated the attack was a meticulously planned multi-wave operation. The first wave consisted of hundreds of Iranian-designed drone, also known as Shahed drones. These slow-moving but numerous projectiles were launched from multiple directions, including from Russian territory and occupied Crimea. Their purpose was twofold: to map out and trigger Ukrainian air defense radars, and more importantly, to exhaust the limited and expensive stockpiles of interceptor missiles. Ukrainian air defense crews were forced into a desperate battle, firing volley after volley at their cheap drones, knowing that each successful intercept deplete their ability to counter the more lethal threats that were sure to follow. The strategy was brutally effective, creating gaps in the defensive shield that Russia then exploited with devastating precision. Following the drone swarms, Russia launched waves of subsonic cruise missiles, including sea-launched caliber missiles from its Black Sea Fleet and air-launched variants from strategic bombers flying safely within Russian airspace. These missiles flew at low altitude, using the terrain to mask their approach, further taxing the already beleaguered Ukrainian defense. But the final and most terrifying phase of the attack involved a significant number of hypersonic missiles. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard's office issued a preliminary report confirming the use of both air-launched Kinzhal missiles and the even more advanced sea-launched Zircon hypersonic cruise missiles. These weapons, traveling at speed exceeding Mach 5 and capable of performing evasive maneuvers during their terminal phase, proved virtually unstoppable. They were aimed not at random targets but at the most hardened and high-value assets in Ukraine. The targeting was strategic and deeply symbolic, a direct answer to the perceived threats from Washington. In Kyiv, a series of powerful explosions rocked the government quarters. Ukrainian sources confirmed direct hits on several buildings belonging to the Security Service of Ukraine (SBU) and the main intelligence directorate (GUR), the country's primary intelligence agency. While the main government buildings were not reported as hit, strike on the nerve center of Ukraine's defense and intelligence apparatus sent a clear message: we can reach your centers of power. The attack plunged the capital into widespread darkness as hypersonic weapon precisely targeted key electrical substations and thermal power plants, triggering a cascading failure of the city's power grid. Similar precision strikes on critical infrastructure were reported across the city, severing communications, disabling railway hubs crucial for transporting military supplies, and knocking out power to millions of Ukrainian citizens as a harsh winter approached. The assault also targeted Ukraine's burgeoning domestic defense industry, with reports of large explosions at military-industrial complex near Dnipro and Lviv, where Ukraine had been assembling drones and repairing armored vehicles. The response from the United States was one of grave concerns and urgent activity. At the Pentagon, Secretary of Defense Peter Hicks had convened an emergency meeting in the National Military Command Center with the Joint Chief of Staff. In a press briefing held hours later, a visibly somber Secretary Hegseth confirmed the unprecedented scale of the Russian attack. He acknowledged that the multi-layered assault had successfully saturated Ukrainian air defense and that the use of a significant number of hypersonic missiles represented a new and dangerous escalation. He stated that the performance of these weapons demonstrate a capability that pose a serious challenge to existing air and missile defense architectures, not just in Ukraine, but for NATO allies as well. Secretary Hegseth announced that the United States would immediately begin airlifting emergency supplies of Patriot and NASAMS interceptor missiles to Ukraine to replenish their spent stocks. He also made it clear that he was in direct contact with his NATO counterparts to schedule an emergency meetings of the alliance defense minister. At the State Department, Secretary Marco Rubio stepped before the camera to deliver the administration's formal condemnation. He labeled the Russian strike a barbaric act of state terrorism designed to punish the civilian population and break the will of the Ukrainian nation. He directly linked the timing and ferocity of the attack to the inflammatory rhetoric of the preceding days. Though he did not mention Senator Graham by name, Secretary Rubio stated that Russia's action proved it was not interested in a peaceful resolution, but in conquest and subjugation. He announced that President Donald Trump had been on the phone with key ally leaders, including the leader of the United Kingdom, Poland, and Germany, to coordinate a unified response. Secretary Rubio declared that new, even more punishing sanctions targeting Russia's remaining financial lifeline and its access to critical technology were being prepared. Russia and President Putin have chosen the path of escalation, Secretary Rubio said. His voice firm, they have demonstrated a reckless disregard for global stability. The United States and our allies will not be intimidated. We will stand with Ukraine and will ensure that the cost for Russia's aggression continues to rise until it ceases its campaign of terror. Many of my listeners, like 70%, haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel. And so many of you don't even know that you haven't subscribed. And that is actually what makes the show going. It's almost like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask again and again, because it enables us to grow and grow and grow. And we're going for the long haul here. And listen, if this is your first time listening to Socaine Rich, you don't have to subscribe. You guys, your first ones on me. But if you have watched this show before, it's like you're a freeloader now. So all I would ask you is, if you have seen the show before and you like it, help me, help my team here. Hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build this show for you. That I swear. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. That's all for me for today. I will see you soon. Bye for now.